ask questions like self-improvement or psychology and stuff. Like, you could have discussions and everything. And although I don't have the setup yet for like a call, next time, next live will probably do something where I could have someone on the live and I'm talking to that person. Like, I'll have you on call, maybe. Like, get the idea, right? So that. So yeah, ask me something, man. Let me talk about something. Let me yap about something. So you want me to talk regarding that? Like, is that what you're telling me, or do I reply to that in the group? Okay, who's going through some stuff, and all right. First off, if someone's going through something, the first thing that you want to understand if the thing that you're going through, if it could be a situation, there's multiple ways. Okay, like, think about this. It could be a situation that you're in. All right, it could be something that happened already, it's in the past, right? It could be something that you're afraid that will happen again. That's another thing that could bother you. But the first thing that you gotta think, I'm sorry, it's just cold here, but the first thing that you gotta think is it in my control? Is it in my control? If I wanted to, if I really, really wanted to, can I make this not happen? If you can make it not happen, if it is actually in your control, then you know what to do, right? If it is in the present, if you are in a situation right now, if you're holding on to something, if you can get out of the situation and you know for sure that you need to, then that's your answer. Now, if it is something in the past that is bothering you, you already have your answer. It is in the past. Let that go. I know it just, like, it could sound like I'm just saying, like, okay, just let it go. How hard? The idea is that, like, there's this prayer that I like personally, is, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the strength to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I'm going to say it again. Lord, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the strength to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Sorry, just got a message. This prayer is not just a prayer. It's you telling yourself there are two types of things: the things that I can change and the things that I can't change. With the things that you cannot change, how do you not feel bad about it? By accepting it, by accepting it fully, by accepting that you can't change it, that you really don't have a stake in that. Let's say someone is sick, someone has like stage 2 cancer. They got 5 months to live. They can't do anything about it. But okay, got another message. I know some things can't be changed, but I feel I'm not doing enough when I let it go. I know some things can't be changed, but I feel like I'm not doing enough when I let it go. Sorry, I'm gonna read it. I can't. I know some things can't be changed, alright, but I feel I'm not doing enough when I let it go. I'm sorry, can you phrase it in a different way? I really can't wrap my head around it. Wait, what was I talking about? Sorry, I just like, I'm just laughing at myself for not understanding something, having read it 3 times. Um, yeah, accepting it. Like what? There is only two things that could happen to you. You either accept that you can't change it, so you learn to live with it, or you don't learn to accept it and you just suffer with it. Like that's the only two options. If it's not in your control, then that's the two. Um, that is the two outcomes that it's just my hands are cold. That's just the outcomes that you have. Two outcomes. You either suffer with it or you live. You learn to live with it. Get it? So if you learn to accept it, you learn to live with it. If you don't, you will suffer with it. It's your choice. Okay. Now let's talk about the things that you can change. Wait, it's like I know I can't change it. It's beyond my control. I'm aware, but even though I accept it, I panic internally thinking I have to do something about it. Yeah, that is understandable. That is how the human emotion works. There, like usually people take two approaches. I'm just gonna talk about two approaches. There could be more. I'm not a psychologist or anything. Basically, it's a blame game. You either blame yourself and feel bad about it, or you try to blame someone else to feel good about it. And I mean, most people, like I've, like from my experience on like self improvement, because people are usually like, I've said this before. Normal people are normal people, and on self improvement, you just find like people who've gone through stuff and all that things, and people like us, people who have been hurt, people who feel the pain. What they do is they blame it on themselves because that they feel like it's their responsibility. They feel like everything's their responsibility. They feel like if only I did better. Of course that is not in my control, but there are other things that I'm doing wrong. So like, I'm not a perfect person, so like I had it coming. I deserve whatever happened, even though it's not in your control. I'm trying to think of an example to make you understand it. Okay, I'm having a bad day, and if I'm thinking, okay, I haven't been meditating for so long, of course I deserve a bad day. That's not the approach that you would want to go. The right approach would be, all right, I'm having a bad day. I remember those days when I used to meditate, and like I was more aware and I was more conscious about the emotions, and I was able to regulate everything. That is the approach that you want to take. There is this thing, it's called the narrative that you have, that you put into your head, that you, the way you talk to yourself basically. I myself, sometimes I talk to myself out loud, and it's, sometimes I shout at myself, sometimes I call me stupid, sometimes when I'm, angry or panicking or sad, I talk to myself and try to regulate that emotion. And studies show that people who talk to themselves often are better at regulating their emotions. Okay, I'm gonna read the next comment. So, like, if a person got rejected or felt rejected from the society, his parents, siblings, teachers, etc., in his childhood, and now he has self esteem issues, what would you say to him? Actually, I've made multiple videos about it. I think it's the work of Sigmund Freud. I'm not sure. That links most of the behavior, character traits to, whatever experiences they had in their childhood. Sorry, give me a minute. Had to get gloves, man. It's too cold. Yeah. So, I think it's Sigmund Freud's work, which talks about how our childhood stuff, childhood trauma, the way your parents treated you, all those things, they make you the person that you are. All the characteristics, all the character traits. I'm fumbling for words here. The way you behave depends on how people behave to you, is that theory basically. So, you said if a person got rejected or from the society, his parents, siblings, teachers, etc., now he has self-esteem issues, what would you say to him, right? Now, is it rejected? Is it neglected? Because rejection is a strong word. Neglected, I feel like a lot of, and I felt the same about my parents as well. The thing is that they don't know any better, and a lot of people have felt neglected by their parents. But yeah, that narrative thing is so true. I've heard that emotionally mature are just very good at forming positive narratives from traumatic experiences. That is true. I'll talk about that. But the way I see it is, just because you became the person that you are, I think that's one of the first videos on the channel basically. It is talking about the path that you took in life. All this time that you were unconscious, there is a point in life that you become conscious, right? Let's say you turn 18, 19, you start thinking about yourself. You become, okay, there is an age when you become sentient, and there is a age where you actually start to think and be conscious and reason and rationalize. After that age, wait, what was I talking about? Yeah. Till that point, the path you take in life is not voluntary. You didn't choose the path you took till the moment that you became conscious. Now you've become conscious. Now you get to choose the path that you take from now on. You know that for the past 17 years, all the life that you lived, all the decisions that you made, all the way that people treated you, how you reacted to that, what kind of patterns that formed in your mind because of all those things, okay, that is all there. Then you became conscious, right? Now you're conscious. Now you have the option to sit and think that all all the things that happened to me, because it's happened to you because you didn't choose it, right? Like all the things that you did in the past, it's like it's not well thought out, it's not planned out. Now, now, now that you're conscious, you can choose two paths. One is where, okay, I am this person. I am, okay, I have these character traits. I like these things. I do this. When someone says this to me, I do that. All those things, okay? At this point, who you are right now, you didn't plan it out. Someone else did. Someone who, and most of the people who molded you didn't care much about you. Think about your high school teacher. I myself had a bad high school teacher. I mean, multiple of them. They don't know how to treat kids, and but they often they inject these things that stays in your mind and becomes part of your personality, part of your character. And what I felt is, I was talking about the two approaches that you can either tell yourself that I am this person, this is me, this is my character traits, this is all me, right? That is the approach that usually people take. They look for their purpose, they look for the things that they want to do in life, because all those things. But have you asked yourself, why have I become what I am today? I'm afraid of heights. Why? I yell when I'm angry. Why? Oh, it's just my character. No, it's not. The thing is, the behavior that you have, the things that you do, all those things could be due to the way you were treated as a kid and didn't really plan it out. Now, you owning up to it, you saying basically, okay, all this time that I lived without planning, all these things that happened to me, I'm just gonna accept it and make it my own. I'm gonna take whatever people who don't care about me have given me, I'm just gonna take it to heart. Are you gonna do that? Or are you gonna think, I'm gonna think for myself, I'm gonna reason with myself, I'm gonna learn logic, and I'm gonna think what would be right for me? Okay, think about this. Okay, I like chocolates. Why do I like chocolates? There should be a reason why, right? If you are unhealthy and your diet is shit, you want to lose weight, and you still eat chocolates, it could be for some reason, that something that you find in those chocolate, and it could be something that you run to. I'm talking about chocolate as like an analogy, and so that you understand something. But the point I'm trying to make is that the behavior traits that you have usually have a root in your childhood, and you can either choose to accept it even if you don't like it, or you can just say, I don't like this character trait that I have because it is due to this happened when I was in 8th grade in high school. This happened, and that's why this behavior trait belongs to me, so I want to discard it. What happens now? You're consciously sculpting the person that you're going to be for the rest of your life. Let me address the next comment. Right. Yep. Right. The narrative thing is so true. I've heard that emotionally mature are just very good at forming positive narratives from traumatic experiences. That is so true. Watch the language that you talk to yourself with. That is so important. A lot of people don't understand this. If you look into the mirror and tell yourself how worthless piece of shit you are, that is how you're going to feel. That is the response that your mind and your body is going to take. You usually get back the energy that you radiate towards the world. Stay hydrated. sorry. It's so unfair, man. Like you have no control over your experience. Exactly. You have no control over what happened to you, but you can choose whether you still react according to that or not. But they shape you as a person. Exactly. That's what we need to think. And it's often not the people who have your best interest in their minds. That's what's even crazier. And let's get back to affirmations. I found this, like, I've forced myself to have these internal dialogues and everything, and sometimes even out loud because I'm alone. I could talk to myself out loud, who's gonna hear, anyways? But I would often catch myself saying things to me that I shouldn't, and I look at it, and sometimes I laugh about it, or sometimes I correct myself, sometimes I tell myself that's not what you should be telling yourself, because that thought is not going to help you. There's a powerful quote from Andrew Tate. It was about, he says he doesn't believe in depression. Okay, now that's a sensitive topic, but the whole concept of that quote, okay, understand. I don't believe in depression because if I do, my life is going to be shit. If I'm gonna not believe in it, then at least I know that, at least I can believe that if I do more things, if I do things better, I'll feel better about it. He's talking about, I could say, I'm depressed, I can't do shit, or, okay, I am depressed, let me do something about it. That's the, like, these, when you learn to, listen to people, when you learn to read things, and these things stick to your head, and when you have a conversation like this and you reference it on the top of your head, when you quote someone or some book, the person listening can feel like you're more credible, and often you will be, because you consume the content that a lot of people can't. Books, very difficult to read unless you build the habit. I already made a video about it, but the idea is pretty simple. Once you learn the things that a lot of people can't, everyone's busy doom scrolling, okay? No one's gonna read books, but you're gonna have the advantage compared to those people. You're gonna have access to knowledge that a lot of people don't anymore. Use that. Okay. See, it's not about the people that you talk about. Like he said, like, Andrew Tate. See, the thing is, you don't have to agree with the ideologies or the actions of a person to point out one good thing that they said or did. I could say, I could sit here and talk about the good things or the good traits of one certain Austrian painter, and you won't tell me that I support whatever he did. Here we're trying to understand personality traits and things that help people and all those things. And all right, what was your childhood like, if you want to share? I would like to not share it out public on YouTube. I mean, I'm someone who'd like to keep my life private, and I think that everyone should too, because once you put it out there on the internet, once you put anything out there on the internet, it is there. Okay, whatever you do, let's say 1 year passes and I'm going on with my life and someone scrubs something off my video, use that against me, file a lawsuit or something. You don't want shit like that, right? So, like, keep your personal life private, honestly. I get the gist of the Tate quote, but isn't it going to destroy you slowly if you don't seek out the help you need? Yes, I get it. I get what you're trying to say. But most of the people that we talk about won't get help. That is just how reality is. So, if they at least don't sit around thinking that I'm depressed. When you say I am depressed or I have depression, you are neglecting the part where you can do something about it. You're focusing on the part where it is something that's happened to you. Yeah, I do get it. I do disagree with that notion sometimes. I do understand that depression is a real medical condition. There are nuances to that argument that he had. But here we're talking about the approach that you take with life. A lot of people sit there, play a victim, and use the situation that they're in as an excuse or as a reason to stay still. But sometimes you just gotta do stuff, you just gotta get out there, you just gotta get in the sun, you just gotta touch grass. You know what I mean? Alright, so we are nearing 1 hour of live streaming. So I still got 2 people watching. So anything else, like, I like I like the way the conversation was going this whole time, and I hope you're having a good time on the live stream as well. Okay, let's want to talk about depression. I mean, it's the mysterious and intriguing ways in which the human mind works. Of course, it's fun to talk about. And when you talk about it, and when you talk about it as a condition, as you give a reason to it, you rationalize it, you give it this whole depth and everything, what happens is you detach yourself, you detach your identity from the thing, from the depression, from all those things. That actually helps. When you are suffering from, sadness or any emotion for that matter, when you learn about it, when you understand it, it helps you deal with it better. Because all this time you've probably thought about that emotion as part of you, but once you try to take it out, take it away from your identity and look at it, now it's separate from yourself. Man, I feel good, like feeling wise and all. You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah, that's a good comment. Like, exactly, depression is not a personality trait. That is so true. Because you don't gotta make it your whole personality. You don't gotta make it, And I've personally felt that in the past, I've used things that happened to me to romanticize depression. This is a major problem. This is one of the other problems. Aesthetic depression. You might have seen it on YouTube, there's Instagram and all those things. There's this depression aesthetic pandemic that is going on, and people think it's cool to be depressed and like posting about it, and like I'm all against it, honestly. once you embrace something that negative into your life, it doesn't do good. That is what I personally believe. I mean, it's just cold. He's talking about the beanie. Do you think kids could be depressed? Yeah, I personally think kids could be depressed. It's a more complicated topic, and I shouldn't be talking too much about it without, being a professional. So maybe in the future we could bring a professional here and make him talk about it. How about that? Earlier, Molly said, look at life from third person POV. That reminded me of something that I've probably seen in a reel or something. But it is, imagine your life were a movie and people are watching it at the movie. What would be the audience screaming at you right now? Think about it. Think about the thing that would be so obvious to someone who is. Imagine there's a camera in the corner there, which is seeing me all times doing whatever I do. The camera sees. Imagine that, and someone is watching from over there. What would they be thinking is so obvious that I don't see, that I should do, that would turn my life around. What would the audience be screaming at the movie that is your life? And that thought experiment will help you figure things out sometimes, because often we think of things, situations and all those things from our perspective, and it's often biased, of course. Or read a book. I don't know what the context to it is. All right. Or read a book. What do you mean? Okay, you're talking about depression and kids. No, the thing is, like, I'm not a professional. I could say, okay, I read it in the book, then I should be quoting it right. Just saying, some topics are just volatile. What fact? It's it's not. Um, yeah, it's this thought of, like, are they intelligent enough to be depressed? But it doesn't work like that. You know, I don't know how to explain to it, because the level of intelligence that you have doesn't help with depression. Because you could be someone really intelligent, you could be like a crazy psychology professor and everything, you'd still be suffering from depression. Could be. And you could be someone who doesn't know much, but you could be sad all the time. So it doesn't really matter on the level of intelligence that kids can't be depressed, or kids can be depressed. What makes us think that? Another thing I've noticed is that all these trauma and all those things, usually we make sense of it much later on in life. Let's say something happened to you when you were 9. When you turn 18, 19 or something, someone talks about trauma, someone explains to you, now you finally understand trauma. Then you look back at the thing that happened all those years ago and you name it and you bring it to life. Sometimes that happens. So you think to yourself, maybe I was depressed back in the day at that time when I was sad all the time. But sometimes giving it a name gives it more power over your life. That is also a thing. That is another paradox. The awareness will create the thing, but if we don't have the awareness, we can't help the people who have the thing regardless. You take person A and person B. Person A will be depressed anyways because of his life circumstances. Person B becomes depressed afterwards when he learns about depression and that it's a thing and that people are depressed. There is this, I think it's chapter 3 or 4 from Robert Cialdini's, I don't know the name, Cialdini. He has a book, Influence, the Science of Persuasion. There's chapter 4 is social proof. What social proof means is that if more people are doing it, then it's fine for me to do it. So when someone learns about depression and that people are depressed and that it's okay to be depressed, that just automatically makes them more likely to be depressed. But it's a paradox. You see, you can't help person A without awareness, and person B is worse off with awareness. That's just life. Also, there's a clip from Chris Williamson talks about Jordan Peterson being asked the question, is it a blessing or a curse to feel everything so very deeply? The depth of my consciousness causes me to suffer. And Jordan Peterson replies, the only way out is through. You turn you take the thing, you take the poison in your life and turn it into something that girls the world around you. Basically what he's talking about is when you are doubting whether something is a blessing or a curse, it is your responsibility to turn it into a blessing, not a curse. Yeah, I think I misquoted it actually. You you take the poison that is ruining your life and turn it into a tonic that girdles the world around you, if I'm right. What are your thoughts on veganism? I think it's just propaganda, man. Not gonna get me to be vegan, anyways. Okay, this is me too. So, questions, thoughts, quotes, books, anything? like we've been just talking psychology and not much self improvement. If you got anything self improvement to ask, yeah, sure. Because I've watched too many self improvement videos and read a lot of self improvement books and did a lot of the good habits that needs to be done. Got rid of a lot of the bad habits, and I've helped others get out of it and get. What are you reading these days, right? Um, Besides college notes. Come on, why you gotta be funny and all, man? What am I reading these days? Of course, I'm reading the chat. Anyways, I'm reading the book, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, and I've read it twice already. And I just love the book. Why I keep reading it is because whenever this book is about presence, it's about being present in the present moment, of course. It's about not letting your mind wander through all these thoughts and everything. So when I read this book, I'm constantly reminded of it. So throughout the day, I'm reminded of being present and have the joy for it. What does being present mean? That's a solid B tier joke. Okay. I mean, that was supposed to be a joke, a bad one. What does being present mean? The book answers this question with exactly the answer that you don't want to hear, which is you can only feel it when you get into it. It's about joy without anything external required. Like peace, I would say peace comes from presence. When you do something, let's say, I got that feeling like 2 weeks ago when I was editing this video that I needed to publish on my films channel. And I knew I had a lot of work to do, so I decided to lock in. For 5 hours, I was focused on the work. And I was so lost in it. I felt good, I felt peaceful, I was sleep deprived, but it felt so good. So being lost in it. You could call it the flow state. You know how athletes talk about the flow state? Could be that too. What got me into video editing? The money, actually, the money aspect. In 2017, I started my first YouTube channel, and just just a few months before that, like my friend was talking about, how much money all these YouTubers were making. And back in the day, that's all I wanted to do because, oh my god, think about making videos and posting and making money. And in the beginning, I didn't know what videos to make, so I was just trying random stuff and just clickbaiting and stuff. And then eventually, I learned that you do need to create value to deserve the money. So I started a Minecraft channel. And I was posting on it. Then I got bored of the game, honestly. And all this time I was just improving on my video editing. I was just doing fun projects along the way, and just eventually, after gaming wore out and all those things wore out, video editing stayed as one of the things that I wanted to do. Then I got good at it. Okay. I think we're gonna wrap up the live stream within a few minutes. If you got anything else to ask, talk about, you know. Talk about games. What game? Would I recommend Minecraft? Would I recommend gaming? Honestly, it's up to you. What you want to do with your life. If you think gaming for a few hours of the day won't make any impact on how you approach other things in your life, then yeah, sure, go ahead. But if you think you're choosing comfort, if you're training yourself to chase the easy pleasures, then maybe don't play video games. I personally find that the case, that when you play games, when you doom scroll, I myself, I've felt that, like, I feel like that person who's chasing pleasure all the time, and it doesn't feel that good. All right. I feel like games are good for socializing sometimes. See, that's another illusion, and I've talked about this before in another video. We humans are evolving in the way that we are not supposed to. We've replaced, physical labor, going outside, sports, wrestling, all those things. We replaced it with gym. We replaced actual brotherhood, hanging out with people. Like I said, wrestling, going on trek, doing something, building something. We replaced that, and we're trying to compensate for it through things like gaming, calling it brotherhood. Be honest, bro. The friends that you have, that you've built through games, they usually don't last unless you turn it into a real life connection, in which case it's not even about the game anymore. Otherwise, it's just about the game, man. There's no socializing, it's just scope. Are you an outgoing person? Do you prefer your own company? I would say yes to both, because I live here alone, and mostly alone most of the time. And yeah, although there were difficult times, I've learned to live with myself a lot better, actually. Sometimes you feel suffocated, and sometimes you just want to hang around with people. Sometimes you just want to, call your friend out to go have some coffee and talk about life. It's just that we were never meant to be alone. We never evolved to be just alone. We evolved in packs, and brotherhood. Brotherhood's gotta be there. If you try to survive alone, you'll be just, strangling yourself. Go away too long, you'll suffer. Wish we didn't evolve. Yeah. It's just the rapid technology and stuff, man. Honestly, we humans, the evolution of human beings, the psyche, the culture, and everything, speeding up faster and faster with the advance of technology, with the advance of instant communication and all those things. Now that AI is coming, culture will even progress faster. It's just how things are. It would be nice. What if we were still monkeys? It would be nice, feelings on food and sleep. It brings me back to that same question. Is it a blessing or a curse to feel everything? To be able to. What if that monkey feels not in control when the reflexes kick in? Let's say some things are automatic. Humans also have it. Some things that you do just do automatic, and later on you feel guilty about it. Like I said, like something, if it feels like a curse, something, if it feels like a curse, maybe it might be a curse, but if you find yourself asking the question if it could be a blessing or a curse, then just turn it into the blessing. No, I haven't. I haven't learned much about the like animal psychology and like stuff like that. But what I'm trying to say is that appreciate what you got. Like, you know. All right. I think that's it, man. Thanks for sticking around. Appreciate it. Thank you for the stream. Thank you for being in the audience. Thank you for interacting. Thank you for giving me the thoughts to talk on. Some crazy insights. All right, man. Have a good night. Take care of yourselves. Stay hydrated. That's about it.